In life we often feel the need to share our story, our struggles, our pain, our dreams, with anyone who will listen. But there is a danger in revealing too much too soon to the wrong people. Just because someone listens does not mean they understand, and just because they understand does not mean they care. Your story is sacred. It is the sum of your experiences, the lessons you have learned, and the battles you have fought. When you hand it over to the wrong hands, it can be misused, misunderstood, or diminished. Think of a seed. If you plant it in fertile soil, water it, and protect it from storms, it will grow into a strong tree. But if you plant it in barren ground, or expose it to constant trampling, it will never reach its potential. Your dreams, your goals, your private journey, they are like that seed. Protect them until they are strong enough to stand on their own. In silence there is power. In privacy there is safety. You don't need validation from every person you meet. Share your story with those who have earned the right to hear it. People who will not only celebrate your victories but also guard your vulnerabilities. Until then, let your actions speak louder than your words. Remember, a lion does not need to tell the jungle it is a lion. It simply moves with quiet confidence, and the jungle knows. When we speak of a story, we are not merely talking about the events that happened in your life. Your story is the fabric of who you are, woven from the threads of your childhood experiences, the colors of your emotions, the patterns of your decisions, and the hidden stitches of your struggles. It is not just what happened to you, but also how it shaped you, how you chose to respond, and who you are becoming because of it. That is why it must be treated as something sacred, because it cannot be replaced, it cannot be duplicated, and once shared it cannot be taken back. Many people underestimate the weight of their own narrative. They treat it as casual conversation, as small talk to fill the silence, not realizing that they are giving away pieces of themselves to people who may not value them. Just as a priceless artifact deserves a protective case in a museum, your story deserves a guarded space in your heart until you decide it is safe to reveal. There is a power in knowing that what you carry within you has meaning. This power does not come from boasting about your experiences or constantly reminding others of your hardships, but from recognizing that the lessons you have earned through those experiences are treasures. If you think of your life as a temple, then your memories and insights are the sacred objects inside. Not every person who walks past the temple gates should be invited inside its inner chambers. This is not arrogance, it is discernment. In the world we live in today, oversharing has become the norm. We feel compelled to broadcast our struggles on social media, to explain our every step to friends, colleagues, and even strangers. But when everything is open for display, the sacred becomes ordinary. And when the sacred becomes ordinary, people stop treating it with respect. Protecting your story is not about hiding from the world, it is about giving your experiences the dignity they deserve. Imagine you are carrying a fragile piece of glass, beautifully crafted but easy to shatter. You wouldn't hand it to someone without knowing if they could hold it carefully. Your story works in the same way. Some people, when handed your truth, will hold it with both hands, grateful for the trust you've given them. They will honor it, protect it, and perhaps even help you carry it. But others may drop it, not out of malice, but because they never learned to value such things. Worse still, some might take your story and use it against you, twisting your words, questioning your experiences, or using your vulnerabilities as leverage. This is why your story is sacred, because once it leaves your lips, it enters a world where you no longer control how it is seen or spoken of. To give someone that level of access to your life should never be an unconscious act. It must be a choice made with awareness. The sacred nature of your story also means it is deeply personal, and no one else can interpret it with the same depth that you can. Two people can live through similar events and emerge with completely different understandings. This uniqueness is what makes your story irreplaceable, It contains your inner voice, your silent battles, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. It is carved with your scars, both visible and invisible. You may have told parts of it before, perhaps in passing, perhaps as a warning to someone else, but the full weight of it belongs only to you. Some will never be able to grasp the pain behind your laughter or the courage behind your silence, and that is not their fault. It is simply the nature of human connection. We can stand beside each other, but we cannot fully live inside each other's experiences. This is why you must decide who, if anyone, is worthy of being invited closer, of being entrusted with the raw, unfiltered version of your truth. One of the most liberating truths you can learn in life is that not everyone has earned the right to know you deeply. This does not mean you must become suspicious of everyone you meet, nor does it mean that you should live in isolation. Rather, it is about learning to set healthy boundaries and understanding that access to your inner world should be a privilege, not a public right. Too often we mistake someone's presence in our life for permission to open every door of our heart to them. We confuse familiarity with trust. But trust is not automatic. It is built slowly, brick by brick, through consistent action, mutual respect, and proven care. Just as a master craftsman does not hand his most delicate tools to a careless apprentice, you should not hand the most fragile parts of yourself to someone who has not yet demonstrated the ability to hold them. There is a reason ancient wisdom often speaks of inner circles and outer circles of relationships. Those who stand in your inner circle are few, but their loyalty is proven. They have witnessed your storms and chosen to stand with you, not against you. The outer circle is filled with people who may be kind, friendly, and even helpful at times, but their connection with you remains limited to certain parts of your life. Not because they are bad people, but because they have not earned the right to be trusted with more. The danger arises when we fail to distinguish between these circles, when we treat everyone as though they belong in the innermost chamber of our lives. This is where disappointment often grows. You may share your private battles with someone expecting compassion only to receive indifference. Or you may reveal your dreams, hoping for encouragement, only to be met with skepticism or envy. Not everyone can handle the weight of what you carry, and it is not your responsibility to make them capable. The truth is, access to your story is power. When someone knows your fears, your weaknesses, your mistakes, and your hopes, they hold a map of your vulnerabilities. In the hands of the right person, that map can help them guide you through difficult terrain. In the wrong hands, it can be used to wound you in ways that cut deeper than any physical blow. This is why discernment is so important. Discernment is not about being cold or distant. It is about observing patterns, listening more than you speak, and watching how people handle the truth of others before you trust them with your own. Do they speak respectfully about those who are absent, or do they casually expose private details? Do they protect what is given to them in confidence, or do they treat it as entertainment for their next conversation? The answers to these questions will tell you more than grand promises ever could. When you begin to see that not everyone deserves access, you also start valuing yourself more. You realize that your time, your energy, and your truth are finite resources. They cannot be scattered everywhere without consequence. People will take as much as you allow them to take, but few will give back in equal measure. It is not selfish to be selective, it is wise. A garden cannot flourish if every passerby is allowed to pluck its flowers without care. Your life is that garden. Your story is its most delicate bloom. Protecting it does not mean closing your gates forever. It means opening them with intention, allowing only those who understand the value of what they are being invited to see. By doing so, you preserve not only your privacy but also your peace, and peace, once lost, is far harder to reclaim than it is to guard in the first place. A dream, in its earliest form, is like a seed. Small, fragile, and easily overlooked, it carries within it the potential for something far greater than its size suggests. But for that potential to be realized, it must be nurtured and shielded from harm. Too often, we plant our dreams in the open, exposing them to every opinion, every doubt, and every careless remark from the people around us. We expect them to grow under the weight of constant scrutiny, and then we wonder why they wither before they can take root. The truth is, dreams are most vulnerable when they are young, like a seed that must be planted deep in the soil, away from harsh winds and trampling feet. Your dream requires a season of quiet growth before it can endure the outside world. In this stage, what your dream needs most is not applause or recognition, but protection and patience. Protection means being mindful of where you plant your dream and who you allow near it. Not all soil is fertile, and not all environments will allow your vision to flourish. If you share your dream too soon with people who lack understanding, they may unintentionally crush it beneath the weight of their skepticism. Some will tell you it's impossible, others will project their own fears onto you, convincing you to abandon it altogether. This is why the early stages of a dream demand selective sharing. Just as a farmer chooses the right field for planting, you must choose the right people, those who will nourish your ambition rather than strip it of life. The wrong environment can suffocate even the most promising vision, but the right one can transform a fragile idea into something unshakable. Like a seed, your dream must be fed regularly, but not carelessly. A seed needs water, sunlight, and the right temperature. Your dream needs discipline, consistent action, and the fuel of belief. It cannot survive on inspiration alone. It needs commitment day after day, even when no visible progress is apparent. There will be days when you question whether anything is happening at all, when it feels as though the soil is cold and lifeless. But just because you cannot see the growth does not mean it is not happening. Roots grow in silence, beneath the surface, building the foundation that will one day hold up the branches and leaves. The same is true for your vision. The unseen work you do, the hours of study, the small sacrifices, the steady practice, will become the root system that anchors your dream against future storms. The moment your dream breaks the surface and begins to show signs of life, it will attract attention, some of it positive, some of it not. Just as young plants must still be protected from pests and harsh weather, your dream will still be vulnerable even after it begins to grow. This is when discernment becomes even more important. Not every voice that speaks to you will speak for your benefit. Some will disguise envy as advice. Others will cloak discouragement in concern. You must learn to differentiate between guidance that strengthens you and words that only serve to weaken your resolve. Guard your dream until it becomes strong enough to stand in the open, tall and rooted, no longer dependent on constant shelter. And even then tend to it. For just as a tree can be damaged by neglect, a dream can wither if you stop caring for it once it has grown. Silence is often misunderstood. Many see it as a sign of weakness, of not knowing what to say, or of being afraid to speak. But true silence, the kind that comes from self-control, wisdom, and inner strength, is one of the most powerful forces a person can possess. In a world where noise is constant and everyone rushes to be heard, silence becomes a rare and valuable currency. It allows you to observe more than you reveal, to listen more than you speak, and to gather knowledge while others scatter theirs carelessly. Silence is not the absence of thought, it is the presence of intention. It is the deliberate choice to hold back your words until they serve a purpose, instead of filling space simply to avoid discomfort. In this way, silence becomes a discipline, a tool that sharpens the mind and protects the soul. The power of silence lies in its ability to create space for reflection, for understanding, and for clarity. When you speak too quickly, you give away your position before you have fully seen the battlefield. When you reveal too much, you allow others to map your mind and predict your moves. But in silence, you retain the advantage. You are able to process events without the pressure of immediate reaction. You can measure your words, weigh their consequences, and decide whether they should be spoken at all. This does not mean you must remain mute. It means that when you do speak, your words will carry more weight because they are rare, deliberate, and considered. Just as a master painter does not cover the canvas with endless brushstrokes but chooses each one carefully, the wise person chooses their words as a painter chooses colors, with precision and purpose. Silence also has the power to protect your inner world. When you refrain from revealing every detail of your life, you create a barrier between yourself and the constant judgment of others. In silence, your thoughts are your own, unshaped by external opinions, free from the distortion of misunderstanding. Too often people rush to share their ideas, their goals, and their emotions, only to find them diminished by criticism or doubt. But when you guard your inner voice, it grows stronger, unshaken by the winds of outside influence. This is why so many spiritual traditions value silence, because it is in the quiet moments that we connect most deeply with ourselves. The noise of the world can drown out the whisper of intuition, but in silence that whisper becomes clear. It tells you what you truly believe, what you truly want, and who you truly are. Finally, silence commands respect in ways that noise never can. People may ignore those who speak constantly, but they pay attention to the one who speaks rarely. They begin to wonder what thoughts you are holding, what truths you have chosen not to reveal. Your silence creates an air of mystery, and mystery draws attention far more than overexposure. More importantly, it allows you to act without announcing every move. You can work quietly, plan privately, and achieve goals before anyone has the chance to interfere. The strongest trees do not announce the growth of their roots. They simply anchor themselves deeply into the earth until they can weather any storm. In the same way, silence allows you to grow unseen, to build strength that does not need to be proven with noise. When the time comes to speak or to act, your presence will carry the weight of everything you have built in the quiet. There is a tendency in human nature to believe that explaining ourselves is the same as proving ourselves. We tell our stories, our struggles, and our intentions in the hope that others will understand who we are and what we stand for. But words, no matter how eloquent, are only a shadow of truth. Actions, on the other hand, are the embodiment of truth. They do not rely on persuasion. They do not require agreement. They stand on their own as living evidence. You can say you are disciplined, but it is your consistent routine that proves it. You can claim to be kind, but it is the moments when kindness costs you something that reveal its authenticity. A story can be doubted, questioned, or dismissed, but an action, once taken, is undeniable. It becomes a fact in the world, a mark that cannot be erased by argument. The danger of relying too much on telling our story is that it can give us a false sense of progress. Speaking about your goals can feel like moving toward them, when in reality nothing has changed. The mind mistakes words for action, and this illusion can drain the urgency from your efforts. That is why the most disciplined individuals often speak the least about what they are doing. They are too busy doing it. They understand that real growth happens in motion, not in conversation. When you take consistent steps, no matter how small, the results will eventually speak for themselves. People will see the transformation, the discipline, the success, without you ever having to declare it. This is the quiet power of action. It does not need to be defended or explained, because its presence is its own defense. Another truth about actions is that they cut through misunderstanding. Words can be misinterpreted, twisted, or taken out of context. Actions, however, carry a clarity that cannot be faked over time. A person can claim loyalty, but it is their behavior when you are absent that tells the real story. A person can declare love, but it is their sacrifices and their care during hard times that prove it. This is why your focus should not be on convincing people who you are, but on living in a way that leaves no room for doubt. If you remain consistent in your actions, even those who once questioned you will have no choice but to acknowledge the truth. Over time, actions erode resistance, silence critics, and build a reputation far stronger than any spoken defense could achieve. Living by the principle that actions speak louder than stories also protects your energy. When you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone, you reclaim the time and focus you would have spent trying to be understood. That energy can instead be invested into building, learning, and moving forward. You realize that it is not your job to convince every person of your worth. It is your job to embody it. And as your actions accumulate, they create a legacy, a living record of who you are, written not in sentences but in the lives you've touched, the challenges you've overcome, and the discipline you've maintained. Long after words are forgotten, the evidence of your actions will remain. They will tell your story without you ever needing to speak a single word. In the end, your story is yours alone. It is a sacred thread, woven through years of victories and defeats, carrying the weight of every lesson you have learned. Not everyone deserves to hold that thread, and not everyone has the hands to treat it with care. Protect it. Guard your dreams as you would guard a seed, nurturing them in silence until their roots are deep and their branches strong. Let your quiet be your shield, your refuge and your teacher, for in silence you gain the clarity and strength that endless noise will never bring. And when the time comes to reveal who you are, let it not be through long explanations or constant justifications, but through the life you have built. Let your actions speak for you. Let the way you live become the most eloquent story you could ever tell, because those who truly understand will not need to be convinced, and those who must be convinced are not worth your energy. Walk your path with quiet certainty. The world may not hear every word you say, but it will feel the weight of every step you take.